This evening's late debate was submitted by the Honourable Member for Victoria the Lakes. Be it resolved that all members of this House recognize the unique beauty of the constituency of Victoria the Lakes. The Honourable Member for Victoria the Lakes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's indeed an honour and a pleasure for me to stand in my place in this historic legislature and speak this evening. I thought I would take advantage of this opportunity to speak to members on both sides of the House about one of my favourite topics, the constituency of Victoria the Lakes. Mr. Speaker, I am proud and humbled to represent the people of this Cape Breton constituency here at Province House. The constituency of Victoria the Lakes boasts many attributes, both cultural and natural, and those attributes are the reason that our area is so attractive to residents and tourists alike. Mr. Speaker, as members know, the 298-kilometre Cabot Trail loops around the northern tip of Cape Breton Island. The trail passes through many communities in Victoria the Lakes and is marked by breathtaking scenery and unforgettable, world-famous Cape Breton hospitality. Travellers on the Cabot Trail can take advantage of many noteworthy galleries, museums, and attractions within the various communities. Another favourite attraction is the Nova Scotia Highland Village. Highland Village is a living history and cultural centre that celebrates the Gaelic experience in Nova Scotia. Highland Village is located on a beautiful hillside in Iona, overlooking the world-renowned Burdore Lakes. At the village, our province's rich Scottish Gaelic culture comes alive with costume staff, farm animals, period buildings, and artifacts. Highland Village is open daily from May to October, and I encourage all members, if they haven't already, to visit this unique attraction and learn more about the important part of our Celtic past. Mr. Speaker, the Alexander Graham Bell National Historic Site is another attraction located in Victoria the Lakes. Mr. Speaker, as all members will know, Alexander Graham Bell is best known as the inventor of the telephone, but he was also one of the most outstanding figures of his generation in the education of the deaf. Bell first came to Bedeque in 1885 and returned the next year to establish a vacation home for his family, far from the formality and summer heat of Washington, D.C. He regularly spent a substantial part of the year at Benbria, and both he and his wife, Mabel Hubbard Bell, played an active role in the social and intellectual life of the village. By the time the Bells arrived in Bedeque, the success of the telephone had freed him from the need to earn a living, and at Benbria, Bell continued his busy routine of experimentation. Aeronautical work was a large part of his life at Benbria, from early kite flying experience to the success of the Silver Dart in February 1909. The 100th anniversary of the flight of the Silver Dart will be celebrated in 2009 in Bedeque. Mr. Speaker, this achievement was a product of Bell's collaboration with four young men, Casey Baldwin, Douglas McCurdy, Lieutenant Thomas Selfridge, and Glenn Curtis in the Aerial Experiment Association founded in 1907. In later years, Bell and Baldwin turned to experience with hydrofoil craft that culminated in the development of the HD-4, which set a world speed record in 1919. Bell's activities at Benbria had a significant impact on the economic and social life of Bedeque. The estate provided work for men and women both in traditional service occupations and in jobs connected with Bell's experiments. The descendants of Bell have continued to contribute to the Bedeque area over the years. Mabel Bell was primarily responsible for the management of Benbria and was deeply involved in village life, helping to establish the local public library and the first home and school association in Canada, as well as a reading club for young women. Mr. Speaker, the major historical resources at the Alexander Graham Bell National Historic Site are the largest collection of artifacts related to Bell's research, which he conducted both at Bedeque and elsewhere, books, photographs, and copies of materials from his personal archives, and various personal items, furniture, and awards received by Bell during his lifetime. Most artifacts are original, but there are some reproductions that are also valuable. Mr. Speaker, visitors to the constituency of Victoria the Lakes will never lack for something to do. Whether it's golf or whale watching, bird watching, sea kayaking, or hiking, there is plenty to do. In fact, there's really too much for me to mention everything this evening. I would, however, be remiss if I didn't mention the Gaelic College of Celtic Arts and Crafts in St. Anne's. The Gaelic College was founded in 1938 by Reverend A.W.R. Mackenzie as a school devoted to the study and preservation of the Gaelic language and Celtic arts and culture. Situated in the heart of the earliest Scottish settlements in Cape Breton, the college began as a school of Gaelic language in a small log cabin overlooking St. Anne's Bay. From these humble beginnings, this unique institution has gained an international reputation for its contribution to the maintenance and preservation of Gaelic language and culture. Mr. Speaker, it is the only institution of its kind in North America, and students of all ages and ability travel here from around the world to study. Top caliber instructors offer programs in Scottish traditional disciplines, including Gaelic language and song, music, dance, and crafts. Mr. Speaker, as you can see, I'm proud to represent Victoria the Lakes for a good reason. The beauty and diversity of this area is known and envied all over the world. As I have just briefly outlined, the area has developed an interesting tourist industry that enhances the breathtaking scenery and celebrates our past. Mr. Speaker, it has indeed been a pleasure to have had the opportunity to speak this evening about this wonderful part of the province. Thank you.
The honourable member for Dartmouth East.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy to stand here this evening and to listen to the honourable member across the way speak about a lovely part of the province, indeed, that members on this side of the House have been to many times on vacation and on retreat. And in fact, that we just came back from a retreat over there at the Glengorm Resort. Beautiful spot. And I can't help but stand here tonight and what I've heard, the honourable member talk about the Cabot Trail and the breathtaking scenery, the hospitality, the museums, the lakes, the Brador Lakes, the past, the Celtic past, and of course, where are we going to move to in the future? Although what I do find ironic here is that at the same time that we're talking, or the honourable member is talking about breathtaking scenery, in another part of the same island, we're talking about strip mining. And so we're at odds with each other, I guess, in that if we're trying to bring in economic development and we're trying to increase our tourism visitors, then talking about strip mining is something that they don't quite fit together and jive. We know that indeed tourism hasn't been that great. In fact, July 2006 over July 2005, we were down somewhere around 12%. And just RV visitors alone were down something around 24%. So we have to be very cognizant of what we do in all parts of the province. I'm very lucky in just my little constituency, although we're not known as a tourist destination. We do have some things either in my riding or touching on close by, and I'm near the Shubenacadie Canal, goes through my area, and we have a park there, Shuby Park. We have trail systems that cut through, and we have some lakes that we can enjoy. We have the Dartmouth Coal Harbour Heritage Museum is nearby. So these are all the things that we need to be protecting in the province if we're going to talk about bringing more tourists in. and keeping the things that we do have indeed in good repair. And I know the honourable member did mention museums, and he spoke quite at length about the Graham Bell Museum. And indeed, museums are certainly a part of our culture and our heritage here in the province. And we have over 27 provincial museums and somewhere around 66 community museums. And those museums brought in over 500,000 visitors, and that's what they continue to do. But a lot of these museums and they have been under-resourced for more than 10 years. And there's things that need to be archived, there's things that need to be saved, there's the issue of, are we replacing the staff there, the curators? Are we doing those kinds of things? Are we being proactive? There currently is no apparent apprenticeship program for bringing in new staff that are going to take over the duties. Who's going to fill in that gap? So there's issues like that that really need to be addressed. We've just seen the federal government cut our visitor rebate program, and we do have over 300,000 international visitors per year in Nova Scotia. And they're going to be, are they going to be looking at us to come here and do conventions when they can't get these rebates now? The federal government's cut us back 50% on the museum assistance program. That's going to have, an effect. Just last week, I did a question here on the Sydney Mines Fossil Museum, which is a unique attraction that the community, really needs some economic development there. And this is just a small part of that. But they've been fighting for a long time for the money that was promised to them. So, we can look back through the budget debate from the Minister of Tourism and Culture and look at, what he was saying about, it's his department's job to preserve and promote the assets that we have. And these are the assets that the honourable member opposite talked about. These are the assets of, our cities and our towns and the seacoast and the history and the culture and the hospitality we have and the museums and the breathtaking beauty of our province. And I don't think, we're doing enough to really protect some of those things within that list of assets that we have. We need to look at coastal management in the province. There is a coastal coalition of Nova Scotia that put forward recommendations quite some time ago on how to protect our beaches, how to protect them as far as ecosystems that exist on our beaches go, Mr. Speaker, and how do we carry forward activities on our beaches in Nova Scotia. I know Cape Breton, there's lots of beaches there. I mean, we were there on retreat recently. Our MLA Gordy Goss took some of us around to see all the sites. I mean, these are breathtaking visuals that you have there. And I know, I think it was the summer before last that I was over there by the Bredor Lakes and visiting, I can't remember the name of the establishment, but they have cottages there. And there was a strip mine basically across the water from them. And, this was having impact because people could, end up coming there for a visit, not realizing that is there. And I think we have to be so very careful in how we move forward. And nobody's saying, that that we're against mining. We're just saying we have to be very careful about what communities want, what they need. We have to look at the economic development. What do they have there now? Is tourism maybe going to be the thing that is going to be the future of those communities? And I don't think you can ever consult too much, with communities. And listen to them. Now, communities are not always going to get everything that they want, and certainly, we see that every day. But we have to, at the very least, listen to them. And, if we're going to protect, people are going to come to Nova Scotia for the natural beauty and for the way that we are, the people, and our culture and our heritage. They're probably never going to come here for mega theme parks and those kinds of things. And sometimes, Mr. Speaker, our weather doesn't always cooperate. Now, today it's been great, but, it's not, I don't think it's as big an issue with visitors, our weather, as we may think, because they're coming here for things they simply cannot get anywhere else. And we need to really protect our scenery, our coastal management needs to be looked at. We need to look at how we're protecting our lakes and our rivers. Look at the Shubenacadie Canal, the lock system there. What a great future endeavor that would be, to be able to see people enter it at one end and exit, you know, where it ended when it was first built, and stop along the way. You know, you talked about kayaking. You know, you can get in your kayak at one end, maybe make it to the other, with all kinds of tourist points along the way. And so those are the kinds of, I think, visions that the government needs to look at, keeping our trail system and continuing to look at our culture and heritage and protecting that. And we really can't continue to underfund our museums. The Dartmouth Heritage Museum is still without a permanent home. I remember going to the museum when I was a youngster, and we don't have a permanent home for our museum. They're trying to make the best they can, make do with the best with what they've got right now, Mr. Speaker. But I think, you know, we have to look at some of the issues that we're dealing with right now in our tourism industry. And Mr. Speaker, I know you're telling me I have 1 minute left, but you know, we've got the issue with our ferry service, our roads are an issue. We've got to look at our marketing campaign, and we need to really look at, you know, the arts and how does that affect the cultural industry in Nova Scotia. And we need to bring back the Arm's Length Arts Council and reinstate them. So there's lots of things we can be doing, and hopefully the government will listen to some of our concerns and look forward to better numbers in tourism, indeed, and protecting what we already have. And with that, I will take my place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. There being no other speakers, we will stand adjourned. Sergeant.